Thank you for checking out my video. What you're seeing before you is a couple years of research and development. I've been working on ballistic barrier shields that can be used as a duck and cover system in case of an active shooter event. We've seen in the news over the last many years our schools, our businesses, our homes, airports, what have you, where an active shooter will come in and produce mass casualties. One of the answers is provide duck and cover for those people who are in those areas. It started a few years back when I realized that the area where I work, and I work in law enforcement, was actually a soft target. Now you would think that law enforcement agencies would construct buildings and entrances to their precincts that are more hardened, that would be more difficult for someone to come in and try to engage law enforcement people. Not the case. Very soft target. The people that are posted in public areas are very susceptible to anything coming through the front door. So I tried to develop something that would mitigate that issue. The first thing I came up with was a block system. This is a mixture of Portland cement with some certain ingredients that when mixed together produces a composite that is flexible. It actually absorbs projectiles. Now during the length of this video, I encourage you to click on the upper right hand corner of your screen. You'll see that little circle with an eye in it. That's an iCard, an information card. That'll drop down a menu and you can see all the videos that we produced in testing and researching these two systems. This particular system, we actually are able to tweak the ingredients to the point where it will receive and entrap a 50 caliber 660 grain BMG from about 10 yards. We set up a whole wall of these and we hit 2 of these blocks with the 50 caliber. One block took 3 hits. It was amazing. I then took a block like this, a little bit bigger, and I subjected it to a high intensity, high temperature blowtorch for about 3 hours. All it did was some cosmetic damage on the front. I could actually put my hand on the top and on the side as this thing was glowing in the front with no injury to my hand. I then took it and I struck it about 30 times with a sledgehammer before it finally cracked in half. That's how durable this thing is. Excellent building material. If we could get industry to build houses or barracks or buildings out of this, we wouldn't have the problems we're having like in Northern California where entire neighborhoods burn down within hours of a flash fire. Very durable, very profound building material. One of the things I did to test this was actually drill a hole in it and put a temperature probe down into the middle of it. I then put it in an oven and heated it up to about 250 degrees. Once it reached that temperature, I took it out and I waited to see how long it would take for the center core of it to reach ambient temperature. It took about 60 hours, 60 hours. I then built a box of the same size using materials that you see the industry use to build a house, like LP siding with framing, insulation, sheetrock. Same size, did the same thing. It took about 20 hours for it to reach ambient temperature, which suggests to me that the R value or the U factor of this block system is 3 times that of the industry standard. That's pretty good. I then took that box and subjected it to the same blowtorch that I did with the block system. I had them side by side, in fact. It lasted 5 minutes before it was totally engulfed in flames. 5 minutes of ordinary building material as opposed to 3 hours, and that could have gone 3 days. Pull down the menu, check out the video. It shows the entire operation of me putting this to the test. Great stuff. The drawback with the block system is if you already have a building, an existing building, it's hard to place this in that area to provide a duck and cover. What works better is a paneling system. Now we went with 3.5 inches because that's the industry standard for framing. This is a steel paneling with some hardcore material that we place on the inside. You can either go with what I call a naked face, but what we're doing now is we're putting stone or tiling on the outside. The reason why we can either go with the naked face or the stone face is because on previous research and development shoots, and again, just pull down the menu, you can see that, well, we tried to find the biggest, baddest ammunition we could find to throw at this. One of them was the black tip NATO armor-piercing bullet. It's a 30-06. If we just had a clear face on both sides, the armor-piercing just barely penetrated. We found it stuck in the pine wood tattletale immediately behind the paneling. So we put some stone tile, like bathroom tile, on the face of this. This is the result. This is the stone tiling here. We tried some siding. The stone tiling actually stopped the M2 AP 30 caliber armor-piercing bullet. 3.5 inches thick. That's pretty good. That bullet is made to pierce armor plates. The siding did not. So after we put the armor-piercing bullet through this and found out which would do which, we again hit it with almost 24 rounds of the 30-06 full metal jacket. Then we hit it with 60 rounds, that's 60 rounds of the 5.56 green tip NATO armor piercing out of an AR-15. Then we hit it with, I believe it was like 14 rounds of the 45 ACP from a 911 handgun. Then we hit it with 7 rounds of 12 gauge shotgun slug. All these shots were taken at about 3 yards. We're trying to simulate an active shooter coming into a school, standing at the classroom door and unloading a couple clips into the door or through the door into the classroom, or standing next to the door shooting through the wall or the little window that's in the door. We want a barrier in the back of that classroom that is successful in defeating these rounds. That's where the students are going to be hiding behind when they hear lockdown. This was the result. This used to be in the face of this, and this took 105 rounds. It's 1 foot square, 105 rounds. The only thing that penetrated was the one round here on the softer area where I only had some siding. Where I had the stone on both sides, that captured the round finally. 3.5 inches, that's pretty good for a bullet that's designed to go through a 1/2 inch to 1 inch steel plating. At the end of this video, we're going to take a couple more of these prototypes, this one in particular. We're going to again hit it with the 30 caliber M2 military grade armor piercing bullet. Once we do that, we're going to hit it again with the 30 caliber full metal jacket. Then we're going to just work our way down and just unload on this thing, hopefully with a 308, which is like a deer rifle, the AK-47. Again, I'm going to hit it with the AR-15, which is the 5.56 green tip NATO, and some full metal jacket 5.56, maybe some handguns, 44 Magnum, 45 caliber, 9mm. This is what we're going to produce and show you at the end of this video, so you can see just how successful this is at stopping munitions. Once you get this in a panel form, like I have back here, this is a 3x3 foot panel. It's portable. You can move it anywhere you want to with a simple hand truck or furniture dolly, whatever you want to call it. It was one of our first shoots, again, that fit right in there. And I have 26 shots that penetrated into the face of his skin. Nothing came out the back except the armor piercing. And we solved that issue with putting stone or tiling on the face. This can be set up in the back of a classroom with a tabletop on the top of the paneling. So 24/7 it's being used as a table. But in an event of an active shooter coming into a school, into a business place, into a law enforcement precinct, whatever, now we have a duck and cover. As soon as the call goes out for lockdown, it takes seconds for the people in that room to dive behind a paneling like this, or 3 or 4 laid out. It can be stretched up higher and made into a safe room back in the corner. The thought here is, and this is very important, is you only have seconds to respond. We don't see an active shooter coming up to a school, up to a business, up to a place of worship. You're totally unaware of that. Once they are recognized and identified, they're usually in the building, walking down the hallway, unloading rounds. You only have time to react. You don't have time to put on certain equipment that is out in the marketplace right now to help that people think is going to work, like Kevlar blankets. They don't work. They will not stop anything coming out of a rifle barrel. They may stop stuff coming out of a handgun, but not a rifle barrel. This will stop everything, okay? You don't have time to put that stuff on anyway. You don't have time to be piling chairs in front of the door. The only time you have, the kids, let's say in school, is to get behind this, because there's chaos going on. They're hearing shots. They're freaking out. They're not going to be following some pre-planned drill that they had before. All they know what to do is get behind a place of safety. This has been pre-set up in the back of the classroom. All they have to do is run, duck, and cover as the teacher's locking the front door. This will save them. This is how this system works. Did a lot of research into how these events unfold, the dynamics, trying to get into the thinking of the active shooter. What is he there for? He is there to spread terror and to make himself or herself famous by doing what they're doing. And if we can frustrate that, they're going to go someplace else. If we can get this in classrooms, businesses, places of worship, they come and they're seeing that their efforts are being thwarted, they're going to go on to the next place. Hopefully in a school, you got this in every classroom. By the time he figures out he's not making any progress, law enforcement's going to be there, and law enforcement hopefully will be dealing with that active shooter on a permanent basis. So that's what I've designed. I've designed it with that mindset and those dynamics dialed into the equation. How does an active shooting event go down? What are these people trying to do? What frustrates them? What stops them? A duck and cover system like this is one of the more successful elements that we can add to the equation to defeat these active shooters. Another great feature about this paneling, being that it's portable, is that it can be used against IEDs, improvised explosive devices. The people in the know, Homeland Security, FBI, law enforcement agencies, have been telling me that there's an increase in the use of these IEDs. And the IED that's growing in popularity is the pipe bomb. So now we have active shooters coming in with semi-automatic rifles and handguns, and they got a pipe bomb or a pressure cooker bomb or a bucket bomb, and they toss that into a classroom. This is going to stop it. This is going to stop the shrapnel, and it's going to severely knock down the compression wave. So it's going to be a survivable event for anyone behind this. Another thing we can consider is that if the active shooter is stopped and there are still IEDs in the area, this could be picked up with a hand trolley, trolleyed over to where that IED is, placed right in front of it. You can take 2 or 3 of these and corral the explosive device. So if it does detonate, the shrapnel is going to go up. The compression wave is going to go up. Anything coming to the side is going to be mitigated by this 3.5-inch thick paneling filled with some pretty hardcore material. This is what I have for you, and this works. These are some of the munitions here that these two systems have stopped. In fact, all these munitions, from the 12 gauge shotgun, from the 9mm up to the AK-47, to the 308, 30-06, that's an elephant bullet. And there's your 50 cal. The paneling, we got it to where it'll stop the 30 caliber. That's a 7.62 by 6.3 or 30 caliber, 30-06, armor piercing military grade. It stopped it, okay, and everything below that. The composite material, we got it to the point where it stopped multiple rounds of the 50 caliber, all at about 3 yards. The 50 caliber was about 10 yards. We know that both systems are fireproof. 3 hours at 2,000 to 3,000 degrees from a high temperature, high intensity blowtorch. We're also very curious how this will hold up in earthquake country, because this block, the block system, is designed to absorb energy. So any energy coming into it is going to be dissipated. My guess is it's going to stand up better than any building that's out there right now. One last thing to consider before we take you out to the range and actually put this baby to the test is that this doubles for extra security in case of severe weather events. I've seen reports and documentation, documentaries, YouTubes, where tornadoes have come through in the Midwest and have brought so much destruction on the school building that the rafters collapsed in on the children, killing children. If they're duck and covering under this, or the block system, they have a much greater chance of survivability if they have a system like this set up in the classroom. How about those areas that have hurricanes? Or again, we're talking California, where you got these fires sweeping through within minutes. Northern California, dozens and dozens of neighborhoods wiped out. I believe there was 40 people killed. Napa Valley, thousands of buildings were wiped out. This stuff doesn't burn. This stuff doesn't burn. So it's just not there for an active shooter event. It's there for many different catastrophic events. So I apologize for the long introduction. Again, I highly recommend and encourage you to pull down that menu up on the iCard. Pull down that information iCard. You'll see different videos that shows us putting these systems through the paces with these munitions. Again, you're going to see us hit it with the black tip NATO armor piercing 7.62 by 63. Then we're going to hit it with the 7.62 by 63 full metal jacket. Then we're going to hit it and hit it and hit it and hit it and hit it like we are active shooters on steroids. We're just going to throw all kinds of lead into this 1 by 1 foot square panel. I'm saying that because the industry standard, that would be the UL 752 or Underwriters Laboratory, only require 1 shot from this and 5 shots from the 30-06 full metal jacket. We're going to attempt to put dozens and dozens and dozens through this, just like we did with this one. 105 shots, only 1 went through. We stopped everything else. That's remarkable. That's a ballistic system that I want my children and grandchildren who are in school, that's what I want them diving behind if ever an active shooter. So let me take you out to the range and we'll get started with that. Again, thank you for checking out the video. Well, welcome to the range. Hopefully I explained myself thoroughly in the introduction to what we're doing here. Now we're going to test and prove the product as I described it. And first thing we're going to do, because this passed everything in the last 2 shoots, everything we needed it to do, it reached a level 9 on the UL scale, Underwriter 752 ballistic scale. But we have upgraded some of the facade material that we're putting on the front and back just to see if we can provide alternative facings for the products that we're putting out. The first thing we're going to do is going to hit a stone face with the M2 30 caliber armor piercing bullet. Then we're going to hit these two, followed by 5 shots to this unit here with the 30 caliber full metal jacket. If it surpasses the armor piercing bullet, that's your armor piercing bullet right there, black tip NATO, that's a level 9. But we want to make sure it also reaches the level 8, just like the 2 previous shoots proved that it did. And the reason for that is that's the industry standard. And for the level 9, they only require 1 bullet to be stopped by whatever the ballistic barrier is. For the level 8, it's 5 bullets. So we want to make sure everything's working properly and can stand up to the pounding. Once that is done, we're going to take this unit alone and we're just going to unload on it like a couple of madmen, active shooters coming into a school, coming into a business, coming into a mall, whatever. We're just going to unload multiple high energy, high velocity rounds, including the 5.56, the 7.62 by 63 or the 30 caliber, AK-47, and maybe some handguns if we don't blow the face off of this first. So that's what we got planned for you this afternoon. Andy, what do you got?
I just want to stress that the armor piercing round that's in your hand, this is a military round. This is an exotic. This is a tungsten core 7.62 by 63. This is not something you will find in a gun store. This round is meant to penetrate mild steel at 1-inch thickness. So we're stopping it with this. We're stopping everything. So please don't try this at home. We have all kinds of safety features in place here that you can't see in front of the camera. So anyway, let's put some holes and stuff.
One last thing. I want to emphasize that this is a low-cost system, and we have to bring in a low-cost system because the stuff that's out on the market right now is so high-priced. You know, it's high-tech stuff that the schools can't afford it, businesses can't afford it, malls can't afford it, airports can't afford it. This stuff is affordable. I want to emphasize that over and over and over again. It's low-tech, therefore it's low maintenance. In fact, there's virtually no maintenance involved in this. Once it's up, it'll stand. It can take multiple hits, it self-repairs. That was one of the biggest obstacles that I put in front of myself when designing this. It has to be low cost. That way our schools will purchase this for our kids, for our teachers. That way our law enforcement agencies will purchase it for their precincts and the areas of operation. Otherwise, no one's going to buy anything, and what's the use to having it in the first place? So I just wanted to really emphasize that. Very low cost. 50 to 80% less cost than high-tech stuff is what we estimated at. Let's throw some lead down range and see what these things will do.
Let's do it. Okay, so here we are with our old friend the M1 Garand, 7.62 by 63. The first 3 rounds are going to be black tip M2 armor piercing tungsten core. And then I will follow that up with 5 rounds 7.62 by 63 for the level 8. So here we go. Clear.
Here are the hits, multiple hits. This took,
The armor piercing went in the middle.
armor piercing in the middle. These are the hits on the other paneling. On the first paneling, we have no penetration of either the black tip armor-piercing NATO, military grade,
In fact,
or the 5.56,
oh, still hot.
or the 5 rounds of the 7.62 by 63 full metal jacket. No penetration of any of the 6 rounds on the first paneling. Second paneling, we got a penetration here, but it's not in the tattletale. You see the tattletale? We got spit.
Yeah, there's shrapnel in the tattletale.
And you just picked up the round. Was that the round that
Yep.
burned your finger?
So we've got some shrapnel in the tattletale.
This product has cement in it and fiber, and it stopped it. We have one rock here. I think that fell off the front because I'm not seeing anything off the back. Excellent shoot. Very successful. So after a little bit more investigation, a little bit more curious on what happened on this paneling with the armor piercing, here's the full metal jacket. That possibly might be the tungsten steel core. It may have penetrated. I'll have to take this back to my shop, tear it apart, see if there's something there. This material, however, did stop it. Again, you can see it kind of popped out the back, but there's nothing on the tattletale. So that was a successful stop. And that's what we're looking for. Again, the rock face stopped everything. Okay, we put 6 rounds into our paneling there. It stopped a military grade M2 .30 caliber black tip NATO armor piercing bullet, followed by 5 .30 caliber full metal jacket. It has reached the level 8 of the UL scale and level 9. The only thing left to do is just pound this thing until it falls apart. So you can see just how durable and formidable this paneling system is. I'm about to hit it with 5.56 green tip NATO armor piercing 30 rounds. Here we go. Fire in the hole. Rounds, clear. Safety on.
All right, back to our old friend, the Chinese or Russian SKS. This is the same caliber as the infamous AK-47, the 7.62 by 39. We're going to do 11 rounds, full magazine. Fire in the hole. Clear. Ready?
Okay, 30 more rounds of the 5.56. This is the full metal jacket 5.56. 30 rounds. Fire in the hole. Actually, I think I counted 29 rounds, but clear. Safety is on. Okay, that box, by the way, is there to capture any ricochet. We just wanted to see what this material on the face would do with the type of ammunition we're throwing at it, if there be any ricochet. I'm not seeing any at all. No ricochet, no ricochet, no ricochet. Now this is after 70 rounds, 77 rounds, maybe 76, I think I miscounted one. But just to show there is no penetration. Absolutely no penetration. Got some stones that's knocked off. Right there, that's a stone that's knocked off. Stones came off. You know, 77 rounds, you're going to expect something to fall off of there. There's the tattletale. That is from the armor piercing from the earlier part of the shoot. That is a piece of rock. See, a piece of rock that's stuck in the cardboard. I'll leave it right in there from the compression wave. So that's the tattletale. There are no through and throughs in the tattletale. There's nothing coming out the back. That's what's left of the face after 77 rounds. We're going to hit it with 30 more rounds. 5.56 green tip NATO armor piercing and 5.56 full metal jacket. All at the same time.
So what do you think? We play active shooter for a second and just kind of punctuate this point.
We can do that. I've got 30 rounds of green tip NATO armor piercing. What do you got?
I got 30 rounds of NATO 223 full metal jacket.
Let's throw some lead at this. Clear.
Clear. You know what? I'm going to up the ante.
How much more up can you get?
I'm going to up the ante some more.
It's going to be a hard sell.
Fine, be that way.
Was that 30 more rounds?
How many?
How many more was that? Was that 30 more?
Yep.
That was 30 more.
You know what, Michael? Hold that.
By all means.
I think we have a successful deal here.
Wow.
You know, I'm ready to celebrate because we stopped 182 rounds.
That was our count, 182 rounds. 182 rounds in a 1 foot by 1 foot square paneling. That's 3.5 inches wide.
You know,
wow.
Let me tell you how confident I am in our product. Have you by chance a bottle opener?
Let's see. Yes, I have a bottle opener.
Well, then this is how confident I am in our product.
Great, we got 2 of them.
Cheers.
182 rounds. High velocity, high energy munitions. 1 foot by 1 foot square paneling. Very low cost. I'm good with that. So I'm going to turn it around. We're going to see if there was any damage done. We blew the face off of this. And the core material is pretty much seeped out after 182 rounds.
Dude.
I have one penetration that looks like a .45 caliber. That's probably because
There's no core material.
the core material was kind of reduced to sand. But that's a very large hole. That would be a .45 caliber, and we were into that about 170 rounds before you pulled out your 911 .45 ACP. I'm good with that. I am very good with that. It's barely bulging. That's what this system will do. I don't know about you, Andy, but my kids in school, they're going to be safe sitting behind this. If they're in a mall, they're going to be safe. If they're in an airport, they're going to be safe behind paneling made out of this system. And because it's so low cost, the schools, the airports, law enforcement, they can afford this. It works. 182 rounds.
Yep. And I want to emphasize that no active shooter in the world is going to stand there and reload over and over and over into a 1 foot square. It's just not going to happen. Okay, the guy's going to take his couple shots, he's going to move on.
And that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to frustrate and to thwart their effort so they do move on. You got a whole school full of these, they're going to go from classroom to classroom to classroom. Everyone is safe in each classroom. How long do you think it's going to take for law enforcement to get there? Probably the third classroom, second classroom. See, we're slowing down the active shooter. We're slowing them down, frustrating them, trying to get them to be somewhat a little bit confused. Oh, I got to move on. The more time we can put into the equation, the more time law enforcement has to respond and react against an active shooter. This system works, and it's affordable.
So, and I just really want to push 182 rounds in a 1 foot square. That's 8 magazines in a 1 foot square. Nobody is going to stand there and reload 8 times. It's just not going to happen. So I'd put my grandson behind this wall any day of the week.
Yeah. We are good.
I'm out. Congratulations.